All right, hey everybody. Oh, those lights are a little bit bright. I got a question to ask everyone who's still left in the audience out here, and this is probably something that you can answer pretty quickly, so I know you're all tired, but a show of hands might not be the worst thing ever. In the last 24 hours, how many of you have maybe lost data, had to turn on airplane mode? Yeah? Yeah, I know you did. You lost data completely? That's the worst. And airplane mode, yeah, right? Now think about that. You guys could have been doing some sort of small mobile transaction, trying to send a text maybe, or maybe make an online purchase, but you couldn't do it. Now think about a situation where you're like 3 stories down in a parking garage and you can't pay for parking because you can't connect. Now blow that up to scale, right? Millions of dollars are lost every year due to this one simple problem. It's an industry-wide problem. I'm not going to name any names here, but no one can solve it right now. Brands and consumers suffer. You know, if it takes more than 30 seconds for anyone to download your app, they're not going to do it. Any hurdles, any on-ramp troubles, and they're off. The slightest hint of trouble. Without consistent connectivity, supply chains, they don't work. You know that as well as I do. And as much as I'd like to say it, the consumers are the end suffering there. If you're looking at the Walmart blockchain, for instance, you're looking at, say, tracking E. coli through the system. That has an actual human consequence to the amount of tech that's involved. And again, those consumers are suffering and the brands with them. We're racing to 5G right now. Speeds are increasing. They are going faster and faster than ever. But we are not trying to solve the bedrock problem. We've got exponential growth of data usage. We're building layers upon layers upon layers of things, making it beautiful and more beautiful every day. But the problem is being compounded and not solved. Without data, none of these things work. The payment processing industry. You all know it very well. Your Cash Apps, your Venmos, your Squares. It's on track to have $503 billion of transactional volume by 2020 alone. 56% of that is going to be mobile-only transactions. Yeah, we're basically going to do everything off of the cell phone or some mobile device by that point. The supply chain industry as well, on track to grow to about 19 billion by 2021. These are billions with a B. It's 100 million. Or, sorry, a million millions. Fraud and identity theft hurt US consumers alone 16 billion, close to $16 billion in 2017, just last year. So what can we do? I'm here to show you what CryptoFuse can do. CryptoFuse is the first secure, internet-free data transaction device. We transfer anything for corporations or consumers. And this is FuseWare. This is a hardware and software solution built to make sure that those types of data that need to work online and offline, kind of like cash does, can do so in a pinch. This is the Fuse. It's going to be our first device off the FuseWare line. This is an NFC Wi-Fi enabled device. It's also going to connect by Bluetooth. It's going to pair with your phone, and that phone is going to be an interface from which you can send and receive data without needing any internet connection whatsoever. It's got 2-factor authentication identity solutions to boot. I was talking about ID theft earlier. Imagine not having to worry so much about that because you controlled your data right in your pocket. We're using a proprietary frequency hopping spread spectrum, so you can't need to worry about security because we've figured out how to interface these devices, and we're not going to tell you how. The Fuse Pro does what the Fuse and the Fuse with the phone can do. It's a professional-grade networking device, online and offline capable, a point-of-sale system in some with a credit card reader so that we can do everything all in one. It's going to be a handheld device for supply chain tracking. It's going to be a verification node for the rest of the system. It's going to accept cryptocurrency, and you'll be able to transact data just like it was cash. Again, the biggest solution here is the fact that this can run its own network. Imagine having a bunch of fuses. You could run around, use those to transact your data, and the Fuse Pro takes it back online. As long as one of those devices can make the online connection, all of that device data from those transactions is then verified on the block mesh. So I'm guessing you're asking, how do we do it? We've got a Fuse API. Any existing payment processing system, app, what have you. We're going to be able to work with this And we're going to give you guys offline capabilities to your existing solutions. You're going to be able to custom order Fuse devices. We're going to be able to white label them for your solutions. And this is not just cryptocurrency. This is any data you need to transact. I'm talking anything to the scope of, say, patient identification records, supply chain data, the things that matter the most. Anything you need to verify at a point of transaction that you don't want to worry about using internet for, now you can. Introducing Block Mesh. It's going to be the world's first asynchronously updating blockchain. What does that mean? It means that it doesn't have to happen in sequential order. You do not need what's known as chain of events in the military. Yeah, they've been using this tech for about 10 to 15 years before we even got to Satoshi. That's how you know it works. We don't need to worry about where it comes from as long as it can be validated on the main network eventually. You can do it offline to online, online to offline, and our devices now can handshake things offline to offline, and that is a capability held by none currently. Our revenue streams come from transaction fees. This is an industry standard model. We're going to be working in partnerships, and we're going to be licensing our API out to anyone looking to make transactions offline. These are all current capabilities of our system. Again, CryptoFuse, agile, scalable solutions for supply chain management, existing cryptocurrency platforms, existing payment processing systems, 3 patents pending. We own trademarks. We are waiting for patents right now, and we secured our IP. This is an investment potential unlike any other. We've already partnered with our first partner. This is ExpertCoin out of Harvard Innovation Labs Incubator. They've signed a $3.2 million MOU with us that starts in January. Again, we are looking for partnerships and pilot program opportunities to be able to test this device out in the consumer public. If you can't transact offline, you will fall behind. But I got one more thing for you guys. Our consumer-ready platform is going to be ready and shipped Q3 of 2019. And I mean that. We need it, you need it, the world needs it. We are CryptoFuse, and we're going to be doing live demos all day. Anyone who wants to come check out the code, we got it running right there, that booth right on the corner. Follow us at CryptoFuse Inc. on Twitter. Go to www.cryptofuse.com. And hey, come talk to me. I'm going to be bringing up my founder and my CTO right now for any more questions you guys might have. Gunnar, Andrew?
All right, guys. There we go. Anybody have any questions? Dude, good job. Any questions, anyone? Any technical questions you want to ask? Nope. Yes? Questions? Does it sound odd to transact offline cryptocurrency, smart contracts? Yes. Oh, you got it right there. He's got it. 2 of us is on it.
Very high level, how do you prevent double spending if it's asynchronous?
Very good question. Double spending, CTO.
So, online, it works like any other system, first come, first serve. First one that's valid is the first one that's considered true by the network. Offline, it's all hardware security. We're using our own authentication, proprietary hardware to make sure we're functional and safe when you're working offline peer-to-peer.
Yep. And because we're using a representative token that represents what you checked in online, we have full control over those offline containers. They act kind of like as banknotes, if you will, that we issue you when you check in your, say, Bitcoin, your fiat currency, or some sort of contract or something of value to you, patient data, things like this. Imagine getting a representative container that represents what's being held online on the online ledger. That representative container is what you're trading offline to offline to offline. When that comes back online, either because the new user has an online connection or one of the older users does, it'll always reconcile from that point downstream. That's how asynchronous updating happens, and that's how we control double spending. So it's not so much in the software, rather it's in the hardware, the PCB settings, as well as the software. Both of those together prevent double spending.
Thanks. And then what are just some examples of the most valuable specific use cases of it? Like very specifically.
Right now, if your phone is in airplane mode, how can you transact with anyone?
Yeah, Wi-Fi?
Yeah, you can't, but you can with this technology and hardware. Think of it as, here's a great example. Imagine your debit or credit card goes up to a terminal. The terminal has no online connection. So the merchant, let's just use this example, says, hey, our terminal's down, and we can only take cash right now. So, in that event, what if your debit card somehow had like a channel 2 to it, where it was like these pre-authorized tokens, right, that represent money. The merchant knows, okay, well, I don't have to take cash anymore. I can still use my POS system because this card has preloaded money on it. Just think about it like that. You can't do that with blockchain. You can't do it with an online connection because an online connection knocks on the door. Hey, does this guy have money in his account or not? But it was somehow preloaded on a debit or a credit card. It would go through. The next time that merchant or you have an online connection, because of asynchronous updating, it would update the ledger, take money out of your online account, put it into the merchant's online account. Now you can replicate that use case all the way down the stream.
Got it. So then let's say that I'm offline and I want to buy concert tickets or something, get the last one. It'll preload the data, so I'll have the money on the card. It'll transact that to like Ticketmaster or whatever. And then let's say somebody online wants to buy it at the same time. When do you get notified of who actually gets that last ticket?
So the point of failure here is Ticketmaster that you're trying to incorporate. Ticketmaster is the one that tracks how many tickets they're holding and how many they own. In which case, they would have their own system to verify.
Well,
I
like
see where you're going
D-app
with here,
Ticketmaster.
Yeah, but I see where you're going with. You're trying to say, how do we prevent someone from spending the money you've preloaded while you're offline?
Yeah.
So when you preload that, you're moving it to the hardware device. The hardware device has the private keys. It's holding information. There's no way to access that without the device itself. So to get it back online, you have to send from the device. So you can still trust in that security of the device.
That's a very good question, though.
So you're a crypto mesh. So what kind of protocol that you are using on a mesh for the meshing between the devices?
We wrote our own protocol.
On protocol. So what specification, like does industry can adopt that mesh protocol? Like a lot of access point and other devices, they have a very standard mesh protocol, like a easy mesh or any other Wi-Fi mesh they're building right now. Most of the Internet of devices.
I'm so sorry, sir. We can't hear anything you're saying.
So whatever the devices manufacturing nowadays, those are using a lot of industry standard mesh protocol. Does your mesh protocol can become a corporate to each other? Like how they're gonna work together? Like industry mesh protocol versus your proprietary mesh protocol.
Block mesh is not mesh networking. We're not doing mesh networking in the traditional sense. The block mesh refers to the structure of the blockchain itself and how we're providing that data and handling an asynchronous chain as opposed to a normal synchronous one. It is not a reference to mesh networking.
Okay, so it's only the mesh block that you're verifying between the nodes. That's it?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
That was a very good question. Thank you. Anybody want to ask some fun questions? The next time we don't have an online connection and you're running Fuse, you're going to be able to pay for stuff, whereas other people can't because a merchant's going to trust you more than someone that doesn't have it. Right now, did you know that even the Square payment terminal devices, when they're offline, if the merchant selects yes, they can take debit and credit cards. Once that merchant has an online connection again, they're crossing their fingers, just like in the day when they used to scan credit cards over that paper. You guys remember that? They're hoping that you have money on the other side when they have an online connection. But what if instead of scanning paper, you had these pre-authorized, well, you can't do it on paper, but you had, unless you have cash, right? But if it's digital, there's no solution for that because that solution can't exist without a block mesh networking technology backing to it. And then take it a step further, you have to have hardware that's away from the network. And then you have to have hardware that acts as your node verification system to make sure that things are true when coming back online, when swapping out the representative container for an actual value add like fiat or Bitcoin, whatever that merchant's taking at that time. We're providing the representative container that represents real value that's sitting online. You're handshaking offline with this authorization token that acts as like an offline, like an IOU that becomes real, that's been an authenticated IOU that you're trading offline. Because it's asynchronous updating, any one of us in this room, whenever we have an online connection, it'll update you and everyone downstream from you's transactions leading up to that. And the more offline transactions you commit to the network, the better the reward system is. Yep. Any other questions, guys? We got about 33 seconds left. No? Yeah. All right. Thank you guys so much for having us. We're CryptoFuse. This is Luke, CMO, Andrew, myself. I just got the company started. And Luke, that's our CTO. Thank you again so very much.
Gunner.